2 o'clock until 4. Time to join us and find out. So, what's the catch?
You're listening to the flagship home of Lake County Captains Baseball. We are the talk of the land. AllSportsCleveland.com, Valley View, Cleveland.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of So What's the Catch? My name is Kramer, and around the table today we have...
Hi, I'm Josh.
James.
AJ.
Chirk Berserk.
Chirk, you are... There's a reason you're in that box, Chirk.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm gonna...
Why do you say that?
Because I love you. It's the love box, Chirk.
Yes, it is.
James, you were on vacation, man. It's great to have you back. How was vacation?
Vacation was great. Expensive.
I mean, I know they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so we don't need the details, but was it fun overall?
Oh, it was fun. Like I said, expensive and alcohol filled.
Yeah. I saw a few of your posts, like at 1, 2 in the morning where you were saying you were out on the strip and stuff, so.
Oh, I mean, come on. The second to last day I was there, I hit In-N-Out twice in the same day.
Of course.
I hit it in the morning for breakfast at 10:30 in the morning. Then at 11 o'clock at night, went back, realized my mistake earlier of getting the fries, and got 2 double-doubles and a Coke instead.
Do you think In-N-Out is actually good? I think it's overrated.
I think the burgers are fantastic. The fries suck.
Okay.
But the burgers are awesome.
See, I've never had In-N-Out.
I think it's really overrated.
You need to go out west.
I do. In general, I want to go out west more.
I think the main issue with In-N-Out is the fries. I think a lot of people overrate the fries.
Did you get them animal style? Or
See, here's the problem. It's that people always say you're going to get animal style. If the fries are actually good, I don't got to put extra stuff on it.
Right.
Wait, what is animal style?
It's just basically with sauce on it and something
So,
else.
like, if you put ketchup on the top of your fries, that's animal style?
No, that's something specific to In-N-Out that makes an animal style.
Like they sell it with the sauce on it.
That sounds crazy to me.
But it's-
I know what you're talking about.
So the way I always am, like if I got to put extra stuff on it, then it's not about the food in general. It's the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But the burgers, just the way they are, I'm gonna mess with them. Just like, you know what, double time, let's go, and they are fantastic.
Burgers are good, but I was just disappointed that people said it was better than Five Guys. I go out there and try it. I was like, it's
Five
all right.
Guys sometimes for me is too greasy.
I think Five Guys has the better fries, but this isn't a food show yet. I mean, we're trending in that direction. So moving into our little kind of rundown we like to start the show with. What do you got for me, Josh?
So I have 2 things. First of all, the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500 is on Sunday. Takuma Sato is the defending champion, so we'll see if he's able to maintain his crown or not.
So Sunday's a good day to maybe order some Five Guys and sit down and watch a race, I guess.
I guess.
Is that what people do? I don't watch NASCAR.
It is actually not NASCAR. It is IndyCar.
See, I didn't know that.
It shows how much racing Kramer will watch.
Yeah, I'm not a racing
And
guy.
I don't either.
I'm with you on that.
And then we also have the Stanley Cup playoffs happening, so I will give you a quick update on the series.
Well, didn't last week you said, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago, you said something about growing your beard out. Have you shaved it?
Nope.
I mean, it's hard to tell, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like, I can tell there's a little bit of growth there, but I thought that was there at the beginning of the month, too.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have
I got in.
So we have the Colorado Avalanche. They swept the St. Louis Blues, so they are on to the second round. The Islanders are leading their series against the Penguins 3-2. Game 6 is tonight. The Boston Bruins eliminated the Washington Capitals 4-1. The Vegas Golden Knights are leading the Minnesota Wild 3-2. Game 6 is tonight from St. Paul. Then we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs up 3-1 against the Montreal Canadiens.
Did you say the Maple Leafs?
Yes.
First, I thought you said make-believes. I was like, the what?
No, that's I think a better name for any Canadian team in the playoffs, like the past 20 years
Yep.
or so. Is
Yeah.
the make-believe.
The make-believes.
Yeah, because they can't win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
And then you got the Winnipeg Jets sweeping the Edmonton Oilers. And then you have the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning up 3-2 against the Florida Panthers. And finally, the Carolina Hurricanes are up 3-2 against the Nashville Predators.
So I got 2 questions, and then we'll see if anybody else has anything to say, but we can move on from hockey because I know it's not a huge topic here in Cleveland. But I'm curious, out of all these teams you just mentioned, if you had to put money on one to win it all this year.
Colorado.
Colorado?
Which is they're the President's Trophy winners, and I think there must be some sort of curse when it comes to the President's Trophy,
There is.
because whoever wins the President's Trophy, I don't know the last time they won the Stanley Cup.
It's been a minute.
I think like maybe 2013 with the Blackhawks, maybe. Typically the President's Trophy winner meaning the team that had the best record in all of hockey.
All right.
Gets
makes
eliminated in the second round. They don't even make it to the conference finals.
Give me Vegas. Give me
taking Vegas?
Take Vegas.
You're taking the Golden Knights?
Taking
I
the
got
Golden
the
Knights. The
Avalanche.
Golden
Who do
Knights
you
are
want?
I'm taking Golden Knights.
All right,
Golden
you're
Knights?
taking
Okay.
Golden Knights?
I like the Golden Knights.
Who do you want?
I don't know at all these teams, but didn't you say something about
Hurricanes?
name a few of those teams?
Penguins?
I'm going with the Penguins.
Okay, that's,
All right.
that's usually a safe bet.
Just to lock something in.
That is Pittsburgh, though.
So you're going
It is
with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Pittsburgh, but I've heard that name before, and I've heard that they're a fairly decent team, I think.
5-time Stanley Cup champion.
How about the Blue Jays?
The Blue Jackets?
Isn't that baseball?
That's baseball.
Chirk, I think you mean the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets didn't make the postseason.
They
They
were-
were a dumpster fire.
They were one of the worst teams in hockey.
Yeah, so if there's no local team, I am taking the Penguins, and we can check back in on that,
Penguins
too.
usually a pretty safe bet. But
Yeah.
I'm going Vegas.
Chirk, so who do you got?
I don't really watch hockey too much.
I don't either.
I'll go with Vegas because it's Vegas.
All
right,
right,
so-
Curse of Chirk Berserk is on. Vegas is done now.
All right, Vegas is.
But put the Raiders,
Nothing berserk there.
the Raiders should not be in Vegas.
Yes, they should.
Yes, they should.
Back in
Wow, that was a random hot take from Chirk.
Oakland,
It's the most Raider thing ever, is to be in Vegas.
Oakland
I
is.
like
It
it.
was such taboo for so long for sports to be there. What's the most Raider type thing, Al Davis type move, is to be in Vegas.
Oakland is about to lose the Oakland A's probably anyway, so they're about to be teamless.
So before we get off onto too big of a different topic, I'm going to go to my other Vegas Golden Knight person here, AJ. Manny Pacquiao,
Yes.
Errol Spence.
Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence is set for August 21st in Vegas. I'll be done with school, so I might go down there and watch it myself.
Ooh. Have a good
You're
time.
done in August?
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky, man. How dare you get started before me?
We're done in July.
Church don't even know. He don't even know.
It's
He's
around
just
that time.
Church just gonna be here for like the next 3 years. Like I don't know.
But
don't know.
this fight comes it's kind of weird because Manny Pacquiao hasn't fought in like 2 years. Errol Spence is just coming off his championship win against who did he just fight? Let me check real quick who he just fought. Really quick, I'm right here.
Pacquiao's fought in 2 years.
Yeah, he hasn't fought in like 2 years, so he's coming off. I believe it was a win, but this should be fun. I'm not one that wants to see it, but I'm gonna watch it.
Now, is this an actual fight or is this an exhibition?
Actual fight.
Okay.
Actual fight.
Okay.
What weight class?
Want to say what weight class is this?
So it says Errol Spence is a welterweight.
And just to keep throwing questions at you, is this a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
But it's not like a pay-per-view like how.
Actually, it
UFC
might be on Fox Sports.
It's on Fox pay-per-view. I'm looking it up right now.
What's the difference?
It's a pay-per-view through Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah.
You still have to pay for it.
or find it some other way.
All right.
Right.
Well, at least I'm gonna say on the radio that I paid for it.
Shout out Reddit streams. But looking at Errol Spence here, he is 27-0.
Garcia was Spence's last fight. Danny Garcia, he won that. It was just a spectacular fight. But this is something like Pacquiao is like a legend, a living legend. Spence can add that to his record if he wins. Pacquiao is still a great fighter. He's just old to me. Like, that's why I don't really want to see
Should they
that
do
bad.
Floyd and Pacquiao Part 2?
No, I
No.
don't want to see it again.
No.
No.
They did that fight too late from the
Beginning.
originally.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the height difference between the two, and Spence is 4 inches taller.
Yeah.
Speaking of boxing, have we heard anything from that Logan Paul guy? I thought he was supposed to.
I don't know yet.
I thought he was
I don't-
supposed to box you, Chirk.
I got a DM
Jake
told
Paul,
Trick
not
to meet
Logan.
him at Walmart.
I feel like that would be somewhere Logan Paul would have you meet.
Where
Yeah.
Walmart?
I don't think so.
Well,
Then in that case, that's not boxing.
So, who you guys got for this fight? Manny or Errol? You guys probably don't know as much as I do.
I'm going to go with Spence because he's taller and younger.
I've heard the name Manny Pacquiao before. That's just what I'm going with today. What I've heard before. So Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah,
I'm going with Pacquiao because I know he's a really good counter fighter.
Pacquiao's, I would say, is the more experienced boxer, so I'm going with Pacquiao based on experience.
And how about you, AJ?
I am going with Spence.
Okay.
And why?
Yes.
So it's divided again.
Both coming off wins. So Pacquiao's was just 2 years ago. Spence's was last year. Oh, and speaking of Spence, before that fight, he was in a car accident like a year before that.
Oh, wow.
So it was like really bad.
So it looks like we have a showdown between Pac-Man and Errol Spence's nickname is The Truth.
That's a pretty sweet
The
nickname,
truth.
I guess.
He is the truth.
The situation, the truth. I think I'd take the truth over the situation. That's another nickname I always liked.
The only other time
I rate. That's how I stack up nicknames. Like I got the situation, and then I stack them up against that.
the only other time I've heard the nickname "The Truth" is for Paul Pierce.
Well,
that's
he-
the only other time I.
Well, he's retired now, and Errol Spence is not, and he is now the truth. He's the new truth.
So I got this little story over here. It's literally probably a real quick one. I'm just gonna throw it in. Joe West, that's an umpire. You might
Yes.
know that name.
Oh yeah.
I know that name.
Well, last night he played. Well, he umpired. He umpired his 5,376 game, and they brought him out, and they had this nice announcement. And as soon as he came out, the entire crowd started booing him.
Well, if anyone knows anything about Joe West or is a fan of baseball, they know that Joe West is a bad umpire.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've seen him make some bad calls just in Indians games.
The
Yeah.
fact of the matter is that umpires are a position or a job that if you know the guy's name, it's never a good thing.
No.
Okay, when you hear the name Joe West or C.B. Buckner or Angel Hernandez, you know
Charles.
that nothing good.
Or Charles, or Chirk Berserk.
And that's the best nickname, by the way, out of all.
Sometimes Josh,
Better
but
than the Truth. Better than Pac-Man.
So, I mean, good old Jowls Joe West umpired
Jowls?
the most games ever for an umpire.
I feel like he should have known too. Like you knew you were coming out to booze.
Oh yeah, I mean, nobody likes Joe West. I mean, nobody likes the umpire to begin with, but no one likes Joe West even more.
Wait,
I'm pretty sure there's not really any umpire that would get cheers.
wait,
No.
why Jowls?
Oh, you want to see a picture of good old Jowls? Here.
Yeah, those
Well,
things that hang on.
This is great for radio, but
Yeah, we'll have to post this up on our So What's
Yeah,
the Catch Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll send you the picture so you can post it. Here's Jowls.
Look up, if anybody wants to see this picture, look up So What's the Catch on your Facebook, and we have a page on there. Make sure you're liking that, because we like to throw up stuff we talk about on there as
Yeah.
well. But we're going to hit a commercial break real quick, and when we come back, what are we talking about, Josh?
Well, I'll let Josh read that.
We are going to get into Julio Jones and the Shannon Sharp situation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And we are going to talk about stadiums opening up in the NFL, going back to full capacity.
All right, hang out just 3 minutes, and we'll be back on the other side.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
You can deposit your brand new toy or make a monetary donation. That's toysfortots.org.
High school football lives here on allsportscleveland.com. Talk of the land, Valley View, Cleveland.
And welcome back. And we're back here on So What's the Catch?
You saw me walking back from you to come back in here, and you still put us back on the air, didn't you, Chirk? You are silly. Anyways, now that I'm back at my chair, we are back. Now we're back. We're back when I say we're back.
Whatever you say.
Yeah, at least agree.
Whatever you say, Kramer.
We might need Shirk versus Kramer.
Yeah, let's throw down.
I got Kramer.
I got Kramer.
I got Shirk. Keep hating. Keep hating.
Okay, well, what I already Chirk got me that thrown off. I already forgot what we were talking about. Okay, yeah, Julio Jones. So this story was kind of crazy, right? Not kind of, it was crazy. There was the show, and I can't remember what show.
Skip and Shannon Undisputed on Fox Sports 1.
Thank you.
TDI.
Encyclopedia. That's what I was looking for. Encyclopedia over there has me. But yeah, he was on that.
Encyclopedia.
He was on that show, and what was interesting is our teacher actually used this to play. I don't think you were there, James, when he did this, but Jack John played a video for it of it for us, so that we could see like what not to do during broadcasting.
Yeah. And I saw this get panned on Twitter, like, this is not what you do. And I saw even an agent being like, none of the people I represent are allowed to go on this program because of stuff like this.
So basically what happened is right in the middle of a segment, supposedly, I mean, that's how they portrayed it, that right in the middle of a segment, Shannon, or was it?
Yeah,
it was Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp picked up his cell phone and literally called Julio Jones, asking him, are you going to be playing or with the Atlanta Falcons this year, or are you going to be traded? And he said, well, I want to play with the... I think he pretty much said, I'm not playing with the Falcons,
yeah,
right?
He did.
I'm out of here.
He said, I'm out of here. But he also said, because then Shannon went on to say something about, like...
Do you want to go to Dallas?
You don't want to go to Dallas because that's a trash can or something along those lines. And he chimed in and agreed with that.
And a big reason why he was doing that is because Skip Bayless is a big Dallas Cowboys fan.
But then I'm sure his floor producer was probably freaking out because the whole thing was, did Julio Jones even know he was on the air when that was happening? And I kind of wonder about the whole situation. I can't lie. It makes me think that they had probably talked about this a week before and planned this out. Maybe not the producers. I don't think the producers know, but I feel like Shannon Sharp and Julio Jones knew what they were doing.
So, do you think it was a work?
I think so.
You think it was a work like WWE style?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was playing a little bit.
I think it might have been a shoot.
I feel like Shannon Sharp is somewhat of a professional, and he knows what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, except he didn't go through what we're going through. He came right from football.
But how long has he been doing these shows?
A long time, but I'll comment on that. They go through some sort of boot camp similar to school, like this. Yeah. Granted, it's quicker, it's faster, it's not as
in depth.
I wouldn't say in depth, but a lot of the things that we do that sometimes seem redundant, they don't do. So they do go through a broadcasting boot camp. I have listened to Pat McAfee talk about going through it, and I've heard about Joe Thomas talk about it as well.
Is that ESPN specific or something?
It's specific for athletes who are making that transition from playing going into television. So they do go through a boot camp of sorts. However, if your question is about the ethical side of it, that part may not be covered.
I mean, maybe not, but I just feel like if you're doing the show for that long, that you should know.
They've been on the air since, I want to say, at least 2017.
The answer is too long. That's how long they've been on the air. Too long.
And to me, in reality, the best training is doing it. Mm-hmm. And if they're doing it year after year, this situation's probably come up before. He should know this isn't cool. You need to have people's consent when they're on the air. Yeah. It's pretty basic.
And let's be real here. Let's have a real conversation about Skip and Shannon for 1 second, then we'll go back to Julio. That program on Fox Sports 1 has gotten horrible ratings ever since it was created.
First take a couple times.
No, it has never gotten even close.
I've never really listened to this show.
So I watch it.
Or watched it.
Do you want to? I think I've described it before, but it's two drunk guys in a bar. That's what it is. It's two drunk guys in a bar screaming at each other.
Yes, but that's how you also have classified First Take.
I always liked
someone who loves Tim Tebow and the Cowboys.
I've always been into listening to the local station here, ESPN 850. I like local personalities that really know what's going on in Ohio.
Yeah, I actually did an internship with Emmett and Gerard.
Oh, we know.
Oh, we know.
You've told us before, Josh.
Okay.
But you know what is surprising? Like some of these like shows, like I'll like even hear, local Cleveland shows sometimes do better, and even like some YouTubers too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is that those people, they know the teams, they know the players, they know, like, the in-depth backstories. I mean, if you want to hear everything in the world about Tim Tebow, LeBron James, the Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Knicks, ESPN is the place for you, okay? But if you actually want to hear about players or your teams that you care about,
Objectively,
literally go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But back to Julio Jones here, and do you think he's going to get traded? Because
to the Browns.
No.
So, wait.
So the reason, I'm sorry, but real quick, let me throw this out there. The reason I even brought this to the table, and it actually had less to do with the phone call than it did with that itself, because my thought is, how much does that even play in? Like, do you think at this point where the league's at, that a player's desire has any weight when it comes to what decision gets made?
Think about, let me try and answer this in my own way. Think about what's happening with the whole Aaron Rodgers Green Bay situation, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to force his way, essentially, he's trying to force his way out of Green Bay.
Well, that's my point, though. Like, but do you think that works?
it depends on the individual. It depends on the team. Depends on the situation.
Because Julio Jones is a great player, but I'm sure we can all agree that Julio Jones isn't Aaron Rodgers.
Last player to do that was like Le'Veon Bell, right?
I was going to use the other one on the Steelers. The other one of the killer bees, Antonio Brown.
Oh, Antonio.
Antonio Brown acted like a damn fool.
Oh, don't get me started on him.
Okay. I won't, but that's the.
But he did.
But he acted like a fool, and he got himself traded to the Raiders. Then subsequently got himself cut by the Raiders, so he could
Sign with the Patriots.
sign with the Patriots. Now we'll talk about him later.
The train of thought I go off on is like, okay, if you try to force somebody to play for you who doesn't want to play for you, are you going to get any production out of them?
No.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, though, and I would think no more than yes. But when you look at some of the different situations, like Njoku for the Browns, right? Mm-hmm. He kind of had that situation last year where he, for a while, was saying he wanted to go somewhere else, and now this year he's happy where he's at.
Yeah.
Because things have changed a little bit.
And we're winning.
And the difference between the situation between Njoku and Julio Jones, besides the money, which is what I'll get to, is that teams actually want to trade for Julio Jones. Nobody wants to trade for David.
Right.
True.
I'm sorry.
So
he didn't have a trade market. Julio Jones does have one, but here's the problem that possibly trading Julio Jones brings up, is that he has $40 million of dead cap money, which means that the Falcons are on the hook for $40 million as they were trading him right now. That number goes down to 17.5 next year, then 2 years from now, 7.75. It doesn't make sense for them to trade them.
True.
Right now.
So, sure.
To eat that money.
I have an interesting question since you said both those names. Would you trade Njoku for Julio Jones?
No.
And a couple first-round picks for the Browns.
Okay, so let me just address this. Would I want Julio on the Browns? Yes. But it depends on, like, how you get him here.
On a bus.
Would you trade Odell along with that package?
First of all, I won't, it doesn't matter what the package is or what it ends up. I'm not interested in bringing another receiver onto the Browns.
When we were
because
I agree. I totally agree with James, honestly.
They're a running-based team. Bringing more passing targets to make the team play in a style that they're not equipped to is not good team-building strategy.
Even if you
I don't care if it's Julio Jones. Okay, even if it was to get rid of all the players I don't like on the team, so they could trade David Njoku, Rashard Higgins, Kareem Hunt, and
you still wouldn't.
And Matt Wilson,
Baker for a second,
and to get Julio Jones back, they would be changing the style and the strengths of the team, and that's where I would not.
That's exactly where I'm at. I feel like the way they have this team built right now, I want to see this team play. I like the way we have this team built right now.
Yeah.
Why tweak it anymore? They tweaked it a little bit where it needed it, but nothing crazy. We don't need nothing crazy.
I don't need to see Baker over there throwing 35 times a game.
Yeah.
25,
no, not at all.
25 to 30 at the high end is about it, but 25 is the sweet spot.
What's wrong with
I can't
35?
wait till this season starts.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? For him, that's too many throws.
Yeah.
Is that more interceptions is what you're saying?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We saw it before with Freddie Kitchens. But staying in the NFL, more stadiums are going to be opening with more capacity. And full capacity, possibly.
Yeah, and I was reading about the training camps, like how everyone could show up for free there. It's one great experience to be at the training camp, seeing the players and being able to see them without any money, just being able to be part of the community.
Back in like 2009, I had an apartment in Berea on Front Street that was right across the street from the Browns training facility. I used to go out there on my breaks and eat lunch and watch them.
It's pretty cool to like go down to training camp because like you're with other fans and it's like you get to see what they do to prepare for games and like how they prepare for the season. It's really actually fascinating to watch.
When does
There's a possibility of
when does the Browns training camp start?
They usually start in June.
They're starting like they're doing like a 3-phase off-season program. I want to say they're in like phase 3.
I don't want to say anything wrong. I just know that usually it's in June, but like he was saying, I know that there's some things changing this year because
July 27th.
Yeah, July 27th. So I knew it was going to be later because of the corona stuff still is affecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a story. When I was in training camp when I was a little kid, I met Jeff Garcia. He was on the Browns.
What were you training for?
No. I was just there with my family.
Okay, I got you now.
But go to the training
Trying
camp.
a new kicker.
I was picturing little 5-year-old Charlie in like full uniform.
I was like 8 years old, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Jeff Garcia?" And he said, "Hey, back," and it was like a great moment. Unfortunately, he wasn't that great with the Browns, but.
Oh, tell me about it.
But I don't think that was completely his fault. I think there was like some with the system not letting him play his style, stuff like that. But anyways, it was great to see him.
Yeah, I was one of the dumb few that bought a Jeff Garcia jersey. So yeah, I still got that hanging out in storage. So
one thing I'll say about this phone call though, before we move on, is that if nothing else, and I'm sure this was intended, Julio Jones put that desire out there. So now he at least has that chance that somebody will call with that one right deal that just tickles their fancy.
Speaking of phone calls, do you know when we're going to be able to have phone calls on the show?
I don't. You're the producer, Shirk.
Number one, you're the producer. Number two, this is the wrong group of people to ask that question.
Yeah, we don't know. But I think having full stadiums at capacity is going to make a huge difference to the games this season.
It will, and it will for a lot of the teams that had rookie quarterbacks last year.
Yeah,
because they were not dealing with the full volume, the full capacity, the full just experience and energy a stadium can bring. Like Justin Herbert was great last year, but he was playing in empty stadiums. What happens if Justin Herbert has to go to go to the black hole for the first time, and there's a whole bunch of crazy guys that are like accountants dressed up like Darth Vader and gorillas and wearing face paint,
or the dog pound,
for that matter.
Yeah,
but how's he gonna handle that? He hasn't experienced that yet.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a whole other topic that I'd like to get into because
I really want to get into
and we can do it right now because the thing is, now I gotta wonder too though for the Browns, right? Because that everybody that was looking for excuses last year about why the Browns were good, that's what they kept using. Oh, they didn't have to play in front of anybody. I don't think that it's gonna affect them so drastically that they'll be a completely different team. But do you see that affecting the Browns?
To a certain extent, yes, I do. But I will say, I went to a few of the Browns games last season. There was a good number of fans at First Energy Stadium. It did not.
For future generations. For all.
So we are back here on So What's the Catch? And before we get into this baseball, we have some breaking news from a little while ago I missed. Per source, the NFL and the NFL Players Association have agreed to a salary cap ceiling of $208.2 million for the 2022 season. If it gets there, that'd be a 14% increase over the 2021 cap of $182.5. That is from Dan Graziano from ESPN. That's big. And so for a team like the Browns that has potential extensions on the table, that gives them flexibility.
That's a pretty big increase.
So does that mean we're overpaying Baker?
We're not talking about Baker.
We're not talking about that.
Is that what that means right there?
No.
We had that topic a few weeks ago, Chirk.
Yeah.
I was just joking.
Moving on.
It's baseball time, and Dodgers Astros.
So
I like that. Boom, boom, boom.
Josh, take this one away.
So, in 2017, the LA Dodgers and the Houston Astros met for the World Series. It turned out to be a classic. However, as you probably figured out, the Astros, well, they cheated.
I mean, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So now I call them the Houston Asterisks.
They've been the Houston Astros.
Yes, it's not. That's
And,
not.
and they're that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that series they played.
Yeah, I remember specifically Game 5, 13-12 and 10.
It was so obvious something was off.
Yeah.
Because we were dominant that year in pitching, and in...
You mean the Indians?
Yes, the Indians had some dominant pitching, and then we came up against this team, and it was like everything just went to south.
Except the Indians and Astros did not play each other in 2017.
That was 2018, but they're still cheating the same way.
Exactly.
They've been cheating. That's my point. I never said a year. I said I remember that game.
Yeah. So
Just wanted to clarify that. That's all.
I never said a year.
Encyclopedia?
Encyclopedia over here.
Sorry.
Anyway, sorry, Dan.
Joshapedia?
Josh Shapiro.
I'm sorry. I get very detail oriented sometimes.
I mean, you're right. It wasn't that specific game, but I do. Every time I've seen them in a series, and it would have been 2018 that I'm specifically thinking of.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Correct.
And so the Dodgers Astros were playing. They played one game already?
Yes, they played one game already. So last year they played each other in a 2-game series because Major League Baseball had to change the schedule to make everything regional because of the shortened season due to the pandemic. But this year they were scheduled to play each other. And this year we have full crowds in Houston, so everything was amplified. And so what are your overall thoughts on the Dodgers and Astros playing each other again?
Well, I'm just happy that the Dodgers spanked them 9-2. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's one time I'm actually rooting for the Dodgers.
And Trevor Bauer's pitching for them to...
Okay, I'm no longer rooting for the Dodgers. I am not a Trevor Bauer fan.
That was a former Indian player, right?
Yes.
Yep. So
But-
Chewing tobacco on his. Yeah.
Yeah, he's also the one that got fired, like right in the middle of a game.
Oh, because he threw the ball over
Yeah.
the... Yeah.
Okay.
But on this Astros thing, right? When I think about the Astros now, pretty much I think of them the same way I think of the Bill Belichick era, still Bill Belichick era Patriots, but Belichick Brady Patriots, and it has that same stain on them now to
Yeah.
where I'm never going to see them the same. Like even now that Brady's left the Patriots, knowing Belichick's still there, anytime you play the Patriots in the NFL, you're expecting some silly stuff to happen.
Is it...
Now it's just like that for Houston.
Is it bad that when Brady was with the Patriots, I would sometimes call New England the Cheat-Riots? Is that bad?
I mean, it's just bad because it doesn't fit, really.
I mean, if you want to take a shot at the Patriots and you want to say that they're not as good as they are, wouldn't over-Patriots be better?
That is better. I like
The
that.
Browns are better than Patriots.
Coming through with in the clinch.
Did anybody else just hear
Over-Patriots.
this crazy take from Chirk that the Browns are better than the Patriots?
As of right now, yes.
They are right now.
Yeah, for this upcoming season, yes. But they're playing the Dodgers and Astros tonight. Dodgers Astros tonight. Trevor Bauer, Luis Garcia. Trevor Bauer has a 1.98 ERA and a 5-2 record. Pretty good.
But speaking of people who have a black mark, because that's what I was just saying, that's somebody else who I look at differently ever since that game, because he was so disrespectful that Terry Francona had to ship him out the next morning. That's not somebody I respect.
Okay. So, Jose Altuve. He's somebody else I don't respect because he won the MVP with the Astros while they were in the midst of this cheating. And then, in 2019, he hits the game series winning home run off of Aroldis Chapman. He's coming around third base. The players want to rip his jersey off because he just hit a walk-off. And you just see him holding his jersey closed and going, no, don't do that. I think it's because he had a buzzer under there that he didn't want people to see.
That's the theory, is that some of them were wearing buzzers.
I
Yep.
don't know what a buzzer is.
So it would be something that like on them, they would be like, okay, it's a fastball, so it would like just vibrate real quick, be like, hey, fastball's coming in different, instead of using the trash can.
They
So
had
it'd be
a
like, hey, fastball's coming in, we got the sign.
it was
Swing.
going back to what you said about like you could tell something was off. They were also doing it in the 2017 ALCS when they played the Yankees in New York. New York absolutely spanked them in all 3 games. So that's another clear indication that something was off.
I keep going back to the page, and the reason is because I watched that Dark Side. Did anybody else see that Dark Side of the football? They're doing the Dark Side of the ring.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Well, they're doing a football one now, and I just saw the Belichick one.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm
Is
interested.
that the one they had the wide receiver diva thing?
Yeah, it was the next episode was Bill Belichick, but it just okay. So I keep going back to this comparison because Bill Belichick's somebody who wasn't, I think, punished enough, and he kept doing it. So was there a punishment handed down for this?
Oh yes, there was a major punishment.
They were stripped of a first-round pick.
Their
were
manager got fired, but now he's managing the Detroit Tigers. They were not stripped of their World Series title, which I think is stupid.
So I guess my question is, because honestly, to me, that still sounds like a fairly slap on the wrist. But do you think like that gives them a reason to start cheating again or to keep cheating?
Yeah, because that's a nothing punishment.
Yeah.
That's a nothing punishment. Because the way I would have done it, when there's honestly, unfortunately, it's not a way to do it because of collective bargaining agreements. But the best way to do it would be to fire the manager, general manager, like they did, like suspend them, resulting in them firing. But have a 3-year window of they can't compete in the postseason.
Yeah,
their regular season means nothing.
But that's the kind of thing that'll make people stop doing this.
Yeah.
Because that will result in players not wanting to get traded there or sign there as a free agent. That's the way you impact someone
Yeah.
for cheating.
I
Taking
like
away a
that
draft
idea.
taking away a couple draft picks of guys that won't be in the major leagues for 5 years doesn't do anything.
Right.
And there's precedent for that when you think about how, like, NCAA does things, that, when colleges mess up, they'll be taking a lot of postseason stuff from them. So I do think their postseason should be affected.
Colleges sometimes even take away championships
Right.
and accomplishments.
Right. That happened with the Louisville Cardinals with the Rick Pitino situation.
That happened with NBA with Pro Basketball Hall of Famer Chris Webber.
I mean, the thing is with doing that, I understand the gesture. That doesn't change the fact that the other team didn't win.
So
Definitely.
The team that won is no longer technically the champion that's getting recognized, but that doesn't make the other team the winner.
I mean, you're right. I just want to see a punishment that deters it from happening again.
yeah. So
I feel like my idea does.
yeah, I love your
I love your idea. That's
yeah,
what I'm
your
with.
idea is fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. I think the playoff postseason eligibility should be affected by cheating.
Right. So by that logic, when the Patriots went through the whole Deflategate scandal, they shouldn't have been allowed to be in Super Bowl 51 then.
And think of how much that would have changed the projection of the next couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Think of how that would have, like you said, people wouldn't want to go to the Patriots then. And they would have really had to have paid for that, where
Right.
instead of just that little slap on the wrist.
So, getting to our next baseball story, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays. They were on an 11-game winning streak, and they ended up falling to the Kansas City Royals last night at Tropicana Field. The Rays are the defending American League champions, so
Do you have their record, by the chance?
I can look it up. Yeah,
Because
They rattled off a pretty impressive win streak, which has got them in better place. They're 30-20, which is first place in the American League right now.
all right. And how about the Royals?
they are.
They played 30 games already?
They played 50 games.
They played
Yeah.
50 games already?
Yeah, we've
31
moved in. The season, I know it's a long season, but also can be quick.
Yeah.
Like quick. Parts of it go by
When
quick.
did
It
the
feels
season
like
start?
April.
And
Oh.
end of April, or
Beginning of April into March.
that's what I meant.
So they're 30-20.
They played 50.
And the Royals are 20. They're exactly at 500, 23 and 23.
So I mean, it's not that huge a disparity, I guess. But my theory from seeing this is it just shows that in baseball, it's just like any game. You never know.
Yep. Teams can get hot for a minute, and they can just rattle off 10 wins in a row.
Yep.
You always heard any given Sunday for football, but really it's any given day for baseball.
You could apply that same statement to hockey, basketball, baseball, and football. Really.
What about fishing?
What? Chirk, every now and then, I try to make sure you get to say something, and then you say something like that.
Okay,
Can you take his microphone, please?
know what Chirk is? Chirk is. Ever see the South Park when they made fun of Family Guy? It'd be like, how did they the thought balls and they just put them all together? That's Chirk.
Random thought. He's got dolphins in his brain just hitting balls.
Or have you seen the South Park episode where they're like, Simpsons, get it?
Is that the only reference we have? South Park?
Those are two separate South Park references.
Yeah, I guess those are two separate.
But
we love you, Chirk,
I
though.
think he's butters.
What happened to the Kansas City Royals? Because they had their little run from 2014 to 2015 where they made it to back-to-back World Series, and now they're back to being the middle of a road team.
I've wondered that before.
I can answer this. They're a small city franchise, and so a lot of people complain about what the Indians have done over the past couple of years. They're trying to avoid bottoming out like the Royals did.
I do understand that.
So the Royals did go all in, but at the same time, they realized that they had a choice to make with some of their players. So guys like Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, it's either re-sign them and those are your guys, or you had to restart over, trade them, and just try and get everything back. Instead of being hogtied to somebody like the corpse of Albert Pujols was in Los Angeles, or how Mickey up there is doing in Detroit, they're like, it's better if we just shorten this up a little bit, realize we're going to suck for a minute to get back. And that's what they're trying to do right now, is get a little bit back. Because, they have Andrew Benintendi, they have Carlos Santana. They are getting better. This is still an interesting mix of guys on the team. They're still not good.
Whit Merrifield's decent.
Everyone's been trying to get Whit Merrifield out of Kansas City the past 3 years, and it's just they're not going to trade him.
So, basically, in baseball, I'm sorry, you can go ahead, Josh. Actually.
So, one quick thing, and I'll let you...
Yeah, mine's a little longer.
Go. So, they just hosted the Brewers, and that allowed Lorenzo Cain to come back to Kansas City, and he was a big part of their run in 2014 and 2015, so he got a standing ovation. I just wanted to point that out.
All right, go Encyclopedia. But
I guess that's my nickname.
That's your new nickname at this point.
Yeah.
But I want to see what you think of this thought. That what I thought when you just said that is basically if you're not a big money team, if you're a medium or smaller market team,
yes,
you basically have two decisions. Basically, you can either spread the pain out over a certain, because you're going to say you spend the money to be good for a few seasons. After that, you have these two options. Either you're going to veer off and spread that pain out like the Indians are doing, or you're going to bottom out like the Royals did.
Yeah, and so like the Royals, the Indians went to the World Series. And they've been slowly kind of dismantling some of the guys on the team, but they've still been a good competitive team. So instead of becoming the Pittsburgh Pirates, they still want to be a good competitive franchise. And so I know a lot of people like to complain about that. And it's just well, you've seen bad Indians baseball before. Do you really want to go back to the days of Corbs Phelps and Jason Donald? So nobody does.
Saying all that with a minute up against the break, what I wanted to get to was, do you think the Indians should have played it differently, or do you think they played it right?
I think they played it right.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to answer that.
It's a nuanced question that would take up an entire segment in itself.
That's why I gave you 1 minute.
Yeah. So, yes and no. We'll have that for a different day. Before we go into break, I just want to say that Zach Plesac fractured his thumb after taking his jersey off a little bit too hard. He's out for the foreseeable future.
Wow.
And
what a reason to get injured.
He hasn't been that great this season anyways, but Tristan McKenzie getting the spot start today against the Tigers in Detroit. Then he's going back to Columbus. So, interesting to see how they shuffle the pitching staff upcoming for this next series they got here. But we're going to head to commercial. When we come back, we got some Browns discussions to talk about, including Marvin Wilson and Myles Garrett.
Today in school, I learned a lot.
Hello and welcome back to the second hour of So What's the Catch? And we got a couple Browns topics I wanted to dig into on this side of the break because this is Brownstown, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I saw this story yesterday and it got me to thinking about a few things where Andrew Billings, who opted out from playing last year due to COVID, was doing an interview, and he was saying that there was a lot of times throughout last year where he regretted that, especially with how the Browns did last year.
Yes.
But he said one time that really cemented it for him why he did it was seeing Myles Garrett and what he went through, which brought back to me the PTSD of going through that, because, man, that not only was it rough, having him out for a couple weeks, that's expected. But then after he came back, he was so affected by that.
Yeah.
It was easy to tell, right?
100%. You could tell he didn't have the same explosiveness. He didn't have the same, get off.
The one area I was mostly focused on was stamina. His stamina was shot.
And he is an asthmatic. He has asthma, which Andrew Billings does too. So he mentions in this article, that's why it affected me so much, because it would have hit me like that too. But
didn't Miles say something about not wanting to play football that long?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Rob talked about a couple weeks ago. He said he planned to retire after his contract.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a good idea. Really, if you're a decent, I feel like if you're a decent player in the NFL, your best chance is to do a couple years, take your money, and go. But
yeah,
as a Browns fan, I don't want to see that.
He can keep making money off sponsorship too. So.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is if he's going to do that, hopefully he goes back to school to finish his degree.
You in school?
Yeah, well, he's gonna go dig up dinosaurs or something. So.
Or start an anime collection. He's really big in anime.
Yeah.
That too.
Or museum. I know Garrett's did that.
What did you say?
Or no, we're talking about Billings.
Well, kind of both.
Yeah, it's kind of a both conversation, but seeing the way that things unfolded, Andrew Billings was very. This is what he was afraid of.
Well, the weird thing with Andrew Billings was he was brand new to the Browns last year.
Yeah.
He had just signed a 1-year deal for a $3.5 million guaranteed. So usually that's somebody you want to see come out explosively and okay, now I understand why they got that contract. So it had to have been hard for him to have taken that year off.
Yeah. Especially like you said, when you only get a 1-year contract, and because generally with a 1-year contract, it's okay, you have to earn the right to be here next year.
Exactly. There were 5 Browns players altogether that opted out, though, so that could have helped him make that decision, knowing that he wasn't the only one. He's only 26, so he's not old, not young. Mm-hmm. He could still be an effective player.
Your prime's usually in your late 20s, early 30s.
It's different for every sport. But
yeah, it's different for every sport. I agree with you there, Kramer.
I just keep thinking back to Myles Garrett, and you could, like you were saying, right? You could tell he was affected, but not only that, but you could tell with his breath, because he was such those explosive plays. That's what he was known for.
Yes.
When he wasn't able to catch his breath, it was over for him, and that carried into the postseason. So the other thing I think is if that hadn't happened, would that have made the difference to catapult us that much further?
Maybe.
And it's one of those things where if that hadn't happened, maybe something else would have happened.
Right.
You never know, but
I mean, there are so many factors.
Yeah, it's silly kind of to go back and look, but that's what we get paid to do in theory. So
yeah.
What I come back to is, does a healthy Myles Garrett make up for a trash can secondary? And that's no.
No, he doesn't. But I feel like he gave us a better shot.
He has a better shot for sure, but I mean, Sendejo.
Does it help you? Does it help you, Myles Garrett? Slow
Make
down.
up for Andrew Sadeo.
Does it help you, Myles Garrett, slow down Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no.
I have an interesting question. You think Garrett would play better safety than Sendejo?
I don't know.
I'm going to say yes, and I would also say he'd probably be a better kicker than Cody Parkey. So,
All right.
Well, Billings got vaccinated, so he's ready to play this year. Do you think this dude? I don't know this player real well. Do you think he's going to be a factor?
I don't really know anything about him too much, so I can't really comment.
I absolutely do think he'll be a factor. I mean, you got to look and think about Sheldon Richardson's gone, so is Larry Ogunjobi. You got to look at the center of that defense. That's Jordan Elliott. That is now Andrew Billings, and now someone else we're going to be talking about in a second. That'd be Marvin Wilson. It's a pretty good group. Oh, I almost forgot Tommy Togiai. In that
Malik
mix
Jackson.
too. And Malik Jackson. So
And Jadavian Clowney.
Clowney's an end.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Clowney's an end.
Clowney's an end.
End/linebacker hybrid.
He's a linebacker in a 3-4.
Yeah.
So they might stick him up as an end, make him look like that false 3-4, but it's really a 4-3. But I think Andrew Billings will be an impact player for this team. He was a good player in Cincinnati with the Bengals prior, and I don't know how much getting back into football shape is going to be for him, or how much difficulty he's going to have getting there. But
well, that kind of leads into another question, which do you see Myles Garrett coming back? Do you think he's had enough time? And it's hard for you to say. I'm sure you're not a doctor, but just off the top of your head, are you expecting to see an explosive Myles Garrett again this year?
I would think so.
And I would. That's my answer.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say
yes.
I'm gonna say explosive, but like
mitigated.
It'll be
explosive
interesting.
type B. I don't know.
I feel like he'll be explosive, but like he'll be able to control it. Like, not every play is gonna be as explosive as it should be.
It's going to be interesting to see if there is any long-term effects.
So,
and if there are long-term effects that could, not to get too bad down to a different topic, but that could prove to be problematic for his contract extension he signed.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, so that's looking at those guys. We also have another player who I believe didn't play last year. Did he play last year at all?
Marvin Wilson?
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But they signed him as a undrafted free agent.
I remember when he got signed because there was some excitement around this guy.
Yeah, he played at Florida State. That's all I know.
When this guy got signed, I actually kept thinking they said Mac Wilson. So I was really happy, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. But the question being asked around the locker room right now is Marvin Wilson, is he a boom or a bust? What do you think?
I can't really answer that question right now because I haven't seen him play because Florida State has fallen off a cliff. So I haven't really paid attention to them much. So.
And it was a knee injury that took him out last year.
He played 6 games last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in those games, he had 5 sacks and 44 tackles.
I want to give you an answer, but I can't right now because I haven't seen him play.
The thing with Marvin Wilson is that there's literally no pressure on him from the Browns standpoint. They signed him as an undrafted free agent. He's a highly regarded undrafted free agent, which is why they prioritized him and went out of their way to make sure that they got him.
Yeah, that's a good position to be in, I feel like.
Yeah.
An undrafted free agent.
So there's not really a whole lot of pressure on him to be like a first-round pick, expect a lot of production out of him. But I think in some sort of rotation he could be someone beyond just the normal fill-in guys that they have on the depth chart.
Fan side is where I grabbed this article, and the dude who wrote it, I thought it was interesting. He kind of summed it up by saying that he thinks the success for this player is going to be determined by the success of everybody around him, because that's true for most people.
Yeah.
But also it's going to be up to him getting back into his 2019 shape, which is going to mean increasing game speed, losing weight, and regaining violence at the point of attack. So he's got a lot to work on before he'll be a impact player again for the Browns.
The only ACC team that's of note in terms of college football is Clemson.
Right on. And why do you say that?
Because they're the only team that's relevant in that conference. Because Notre Dame's not really in that conference. They're just kind of there.
You just managed to make so many people angry without even realizing it. You just said Notre Dame isn't like.
No, Notre Dame is traditionally an independent school. They're not usually in a conference.
No, I know what you're saying, but it was almost like you kind of said we should just ignore Notre Dame.
No, we should not ignore the Fighting Irish. They did make the playoff last year.
That's my thought. Is I've always felt like they were, and this just got way off topic, but I always felt like they were something to be messed with.
I mean, there's one team in the ACC that's always going to be an attraction. Doesn't matter how good or how bad they are, but they will always be relevant. And that is the U!
Oh, yeah,
The U will always be relevant.
University of Miami?
Yep.
Go.
Why do you say that?
Because it's the U.
And also, you have Duke and North Carolina. That rivalry will never die.
Not in football. Who cares? Not to do a Mike Francesa impression, but who cares?
Who cares?
All right.
I'll do my Stephen A. I do not care.
All right. Valid.
All right, well, we're going to hit another commercial break. That's what we'll do, because I think we've done it down.
Just wanted to interject one thing. Can we take calls yet? Or
You are the producer, Church.
in that case, then,
I'm not in there.
if you wanna call us at 216-856-6630.
Is that your personal number?
No, this
That
is
is a call-in number.
This is the caller ID number.
Does that even work?
Does that work?
I believe it does.
Let's find out.
So what's that number again?
216-586-6630.
This is radio on the fly, people.
All right, everybody, call in 216-586-6630.
See if this thing works.
I will argue with you.
We will all argue with you.
If you are listening, please call this number.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're gonna be going on a quick commercial break, so we'll be testing out during the break.
Are you Scores and the captains walk it off on opening night.
We are the talk of the land. AllSportsCleveland.com. Valley View, Cleveland.
Welcome to Triple.
Hello and welcome back, not to whatever show that was, but to So What's the Catch?
Not bad.
And Chirk, not only that, but did you test the phone during the break?
I did not see any OH flashing button, so it doesn't seem like it works right now.
Okay, well, we'll figure out at some point. But
called during the break.
we'll figure out at some point. But we are going to start off with my new favorite segment, the Random Cleveland Athlete of the Week. And phones down because Google is not allowed. Because you know why? Googling is cheating.
It's down. I got it down.
Oh, so we're not going to be the Houston Astros or the New England Patriots.
Correct. Not.
All right. We'll start off with his birth dates. He was born on June 2nd, 1976. Any guesses?
76.
1976, June 2nd? No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Going red?
Sport? Should have lit off with that.
I'll make him
I'll
about
go with sport. I want to know if anyone knew birth dates, but apparently no.
it's about 45 years old.
No, 45.
All right, so he was a basketball player for your Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
45-year-old Cav basketball player.
Probably retired by this point
The
then.
Cavaliers were not his first team.
Oh.
What team were they?
Gonna get there in a second.
What?
He attended college at
Richard Jefferson.
Eastern Michigan.
Nope. Eastern Michigan.
Ricky Davis?
It is not Ricky Davis. He went undrafted in the 1998 NBA draft.
Eastern Michigan.
Was he a pretty well-known player?
You sure we can't use Google?
No Google.
No Google.
I definitely would have solved
Brad
this
Miller.
with Google.
Who?
Brad
It
Miller.
is not Brad Miller.
When was his last game?
His last game was in 2012.
That's a good question.
2012?
First game was in 1998.
He was 98 till 2012.
Trahan Landon.
It is not Landon.
And he played with us when? You said we weren't his first team.
Yeah,
You can't look it up.
played
I'm not Googling.
He played for let's see, 10 teams total.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Flip Murray.
It is not.
LSU.
It is not Flip Murray. It is not Shaquille
Baron
O'Neal.
Davis.
It is not Baron
He went
Davis.
to UCLA.
I'm just trying to think. So 2012. This would have been. Is that before or after the first LeBron trade?
That is after.
Okay, so that's after the first
But
LeBron
here's the
trade.
key factor. He played before the first LeBron era.
So did he play with LeBron?
He did not play with LeBron.
Okay, never played with LeBron.
Never
Didn't
played.
play with
He did not play with LeBron.
So that immediately takes Larry Hughes
He
out.
got a nickname.
Andre Miller.
It's not Andre Miller. Did he have a nickname?
This is a tougher one.
According to this, no. Okay.
All right, players that didn't play with LeBron. Jamario Moon.
What position did he play?
He was a point guard, and he was born in Cleveland, Ohio. He went to Cleveland Central Catholic.
Earl Boykins.
There we go!
Thank God.
Oh, Boykins!
Took us a while, but we got there.
He said Eastern Michigan. I'm like, wait. I know somebody that went to Eastern Michigan. Okay.
That was a good one.
That was good, right?
Yeah.
Does it feel good when you actually get the answer?
Yeah.
When you don't use Google?
It did, because
Nice job, AJ.
I only remember that, like, when he said Cleveland Central Catholic, I'm like, wait, I went there my freshman year in high school. His jersey was, like, right there on the wall as soon as you walk into the gym. I'm like, okay, that clicked.
We'll definitely be doing that every week.
All right.
I like
Right.
that.
I love that.
You should have said height. I probably would have got it right there.
That's why I didn't go with height. If I would have told you he was 5'5", then we would have went, Earl Boykins!
I feel like he would have said Muggsy Bogues with him.
You might have got Muggsy Bogues.
Okay. But for our next segment, Antonio Brown. He has re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We were talking about him earlier and how he's had a lot of drama. Not going to go through the full list of all his run-ins.
Yeah, we only have like another hour.
I know. Trying to list all of his, crimes and misdemeanors and everything would probably take at least 3 hours.
So, okay. AB does what AB wants to do, so I'm not even going to talk about AB. But when I hear this, what I'm wondering is, what are the Buccaneers thinking? Like, why? To me, this is okay. So the answer is, hopefully they hope to get production out of him, right? But
Right.
you're not going to, is what I'm saying.
I think this is more of a Brady move, honestly.
This is a Brady move. It's a make Tom Brady happy move.
Yeah, because
I mean, then that makes sense.
Because Brady, before AB was cut by the Patriots, he was playing with who? Tom Brady.
True. So Tom, you got to think pretty much Tom Brady gets what Tom Brady wants at
Yes.
this point.
Yeah, that's why he went to Tampa in the first place.
So, I will admit this about Tom Brady. I was not willing to give him the GOAT status during his 20-year career in New England.
How dare you?
I was trying to find
Luckily, it's not yours to give.
Yeah.
I was trying to find every excuse not to. But as soon as I saw him lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl and defeat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, I said, okay, he's done it. He's convinced me. Tom Brady is the GOAT.
But is there still an asterisk behind some of his wins?
Yes.
Well, there's an asterisk with
Even
any
the
Pats
Buccaneers-
players, and we talked about why earlier.
I think even the Bucks
a
won
lot of
possibly
players
have an asterisk.
championships.
So Turk, are you hereby accusing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of cheating?
It's possible.
Here's what I wonder, okay? And it's still,
possible.
this is still very loosely related because
Okay.
Tom Brady plays for the Buccaneers, and Tom Brady used to play for the Patriots, and I just watched that Bill Belichick Dark Side of the Ring, so that's all I can think about. Okay, you say now that Tom Brady has gone to Tampa Bay and won, you respect him more. If Bill Belichick wins with a different quarterback than Tom Brady, does that mean you respect him at that point as well?
Sure.
All right,
Sure.
fair enough.
It's just because of what we were saying earlier, all the cheating stuff and Deflategate, the two spy gates that the Patriots were involved in. I didn't want to give Tom Brady the recognition. I just didn't.
I still won't give either of them. No, I can't say that because Tom Brady is a GOAT. But Bill Belichick, I will not give him respect or recognition at any point.
What about Bruce Arians?
Okay, I'm pushing back on the Bill Belichick one. Okay,
Fair enough.
Okay, he's the greatest coach of all time. That man knows the rule book of the NFL back and forward better than anyone. Which is why people get so mad when he finds some loophole to exploit. They're like, oh, he's cheating. No, he just knows the rules better than everybody else. Knowing the rules better isn't cheating.
So, do you think?
I respectfully disagree. Chirk, go ahead.
Do you think Belichick's better than Landry, then Lombardi, then Shula. Would you put him over that?
And Church's getting towards what I think I'm saying.
What did I just call Bill Belichick? The greatest coach of all time. So
But
yes.
they got to this. They got to this in this documentary, right?
Yeah.
And it comes to a question, really, at this point, where do you think how you got those wins matter?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
And basically, and I do you agree that what you're saying is you don't think it matters how he got those wins, or if he bent the rules, as long as he didn't 100% break them or lose?
So the way I'll answer this question is,
and then I would like to take a crack at it, but I'll let you go first.
If you really don't think every team isn't out there cheating all the time, I got bad news for you.
They are.
Santa Claus also isn't real. Okay.
Really?
Oh no! You just burst my bubble.
I look at Bill Belichick, though, and I compare him to somebody like Kevin Stefanski, who's trying to build up a culture in a town that was dead, from the dust, and he's trying to do it, in my eyes, the right way.
Okay.
And Bill Belichick didn't do things the right way.
And what is the right way?
It's not easy to say, like, this is the right way, but what Bill Belichick did is not.
So, I want to push back on you saying Belichick's the greatest, which I'll give him top 5. But
top 5?
I'll give him top 3, but I'm just not
top 5, top 3.
Top 2 and not 2.
Thank you.
But I'm not putting him over Shula when Don Shula led the only perfect season in NFL history.
I still say
Rest in peace, by the way, to Shula.
My thought is just that morals matter. How you do things still matter. And you push back on that saying everybody cheats. Mm-hmm. I disagree again respectfully that I don't think Kevin Stefanski's willing to push the rules as much as Bill Belichick pushed the rules.
I'm feeling there's a lot more rules he pushed that you don't realize.
I mean, maybe there is.
And in response to you not calling Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time, I have 3 words for you. Are you ready? Count the rings.
I have a question for you.
Rings don't always matter, though.
What's your question, Chirk?
I wanted to ask you, do you think even Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens both cheated?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
You can cheat and still be bad.
Yeah. You can cheat.
The Browns did it for 2 decades.
Yep.
I did it in high school.
Seriously.
You can cheat and still suck. I mean, did everybody forget Ray Farmer texting down to the sideline? That happened.
That was a thing.
Does anybody remember when the Falcons, cheated by pumping in crowd noise when they already had fans?
So, you said the rings don't always matter. When you're a coach, the rings matter. That's how you describe greatest coaches of all time. How many rings do you have? Greatest coach. If you're talking about players, that's a different discussion. But coach, he's got 6 rings. That's more than a lot of other franchises have in their history.
Yes, but again,
6 rings and probably 6 scandals.
That's 6 rings just as a head coach. It's not counting the rings he won with the Giants beforehand as the defensive coordinator.
And possibly a scandal on Bruce, too.
Yes, but again, did he lead a perfect season? No.
Doing something one time does not make somebody better than the entire history. How many other Super Bowls did Don Shula win?
2. Or 1.
So he won 1 Super Bowl.
2, actually, because the Dolphins won the Super Bowl the next year.
Oh, they did?
I'm pretty sure.
I think Bruce Belichick's a good Bill Belichick. Wow. It's been a long day. I think
Bruce Belichick?
You are.
Okay.
I think Belichick's a good coach, but I'm not even going to use first names anymore. I think Belichick's a good coach, but I just wouldn't be able to rank him number 1.
You're right, Beck.
That's where I leave it at.
1970. The Dolphins went back-to-back in 72 and 73.
Groovy for them.
Yes.
We got Joshopedia right there.
Yeah, old encyclopedia here.
Should I take that as a compliment or an insult?
Both.
You should take an encyclopedia to the face. I mean, what?
That's the beginning of the movie Biodome. Ever see Biodome?
I have not.
With Pauly Shore?
I remember it, but I've never seen it. I heard that was like the worst Pauly Shore movie ever, and that's saying a lot.
I don't know about that, man.
I like Encino Man.
I love me some Encino Man. How about some Jury Duty, Son-in-Law?
Do you guys even know like anything we're talking about right now?
I know one show you said right there.
All right, I think we definitely just proved an age gap on this show.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wait, repeat the shows again?
The movies were Encino Man, Biodome,
I know Encino Man.
Jury Duty, Son-in-Law, in the Army now. I forgot that one.
Yeah, definitely. Out of all of them, the ones that people probably would know best is Encino Man.
Yeah, because that one had Brendan Fraser and the guy who played Sean Astin.
But I liked
Mikey?
Pauly Shore. I thought he was honestly kind of funny.
I found Pauly Shore entertaining, but I mean that's our age group, so that's early '90s, mid '90s.
So I'll put this to anybody watching this after I post it up on Facebook. Drop in the comments what you think about Pauly Shore. Again, we are a sports show, I'm pretty sure. But
yes.
I want to know what people think. If anybody out there listening remembers Pauly Shore.
Yeah, and we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Kwame Brown and him just going off. So, we'll be back on the other side of this commercial.
See ya.
We are the talk of the land. AllSportsCleveland.com. Valley View, Cleveland.
All right, buddies.
But real quick, and I've been doing this all day. It's been a long day for me. I ran 3 shows today, and I'm getting off topic one more time, so you can blame me for this in the comments. But
Okay.
Apparently, Pauly Shore was in the wash.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, right? And
Wait.
AJ said it, and I had to go look this up.
Are you talking about the movie with Snoop Dogg and Dr.
Yes,
Dre?
the movie with and Tommy Chong.
I love that movie.
Tommy Chong. So I go to look this dude up in this movie, and first of all, Pauly Shore he played Man in Trunk, which is
Yes, I remember that.
the greatest character name ever.
When they were like just in the trunk during the car wash, and I do remember that with the mafia dudes.
The other thing I need to get to real quick is I don't like. I think I saw this movie a long time ago, but now I'm looking through the stars. Angela Cornwell, Dr. Dre,
Ludacris.
Bruce, Shaquille O'Neal,
Eminem.
Ludacris, Exhibit, Chong, Lamont Brady, Corrupt, Pauly Shore. What? This is like the super movie. Eminem. This is like a
They got
super
Franklin
movie.
from GTA.
I'm gonna have to go home.
They have Franklin actually in the game.
There's an actress who played somebody called Vicky, and her actual real name is Truth Hurts.
Huh. Let me see that, please.
That played Vicky.
She was like an R&B singer
Wow.
in the 90s.
Huh.
Okay.
That's interesting.
All right, so back on topic. After I got us back off topic with that Pauly Shore comeback there. So Kwame Brown is in the news, and he's going
not
off the
happy.
deep end a little bit. He's not really happy, but I don't blame him.
Talk about it, Chirk.
Yeah, he's going berserk on everybody.
So is he the berserker of the week?
He is the berserker of the week.
All right, Berserker of the
Kwame
Week.
Brown
Very
is
literal.
getting the
Ding,
berserker
ding.
of the week. Kwame Brown went off on everyone. We talked about Skip and Shannon earlier. He went off on them. He went off on Stephen A. Went off on Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes with all the smoke. Rachel Nichols. Everyone besides Jalen Rose.
Did he go off on Charlemagne the
He
God?
did go off on Charlemagne the God. The whole Breakfast Club he went off on.
Because when I look up Kwame Brown, that's the first thing that came up. Charlemagne the God apologizes to Kwame Brown for causing pain.
Yeah, and Kwame is dishing out what he calls his mama's cooking in his live videos, just basically talking about just the reality of how the sports media works. And I was wondering, that from what I perceive, that's what he's doing. But I was wondering, what are your guys' thoughts on this? And also, he talks about being a bust and like how just making an NBA, he already made it. He bought like land for his mom. He's invested money into a lot of different things, and he's talked about how being called a bust all the time, it's just like he doesn't think that's true. And I was wondering, what are your guys' thoughts?
So I think he's been unfairly treated from the beginning. Because he was the #1 overall pick by Michael Jordan at the time with the Wizards, there was all these higher expectations for Kwame Brown because he was handpicked by Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That he was supposed to become and be like the savior of the franchise, and he was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, he had some stunted growth.
At one point, he did have some signs of growth as a player, going from 4.5 points as a rookie to 7.4 to 10.9 in his third season. That was the only year he averaged over 10 points a game. But I understand numbers aren't everything, and you could see that sometimes when he was playing, but he got really just kind of handicapped from the beginning here.
Did he have some kind of beef with Steven Jackson?
I don't know if they do now, but they did with that whole All the Smoke podcast did because of the fact when they talked about the trade for Paul Gasol, and they brought up Mark Gasol, and the GM brought in Kwame Brown. They're like, nope, just Mark Gasol. We don't bring up Kwame Brown's name.
He had to have said.
He
had to have said something because Stephen Jackson just posted on Twitter, it looks like, I'm back in ATL, pull up, bring as many people you want to feel safe. I need to look you in your eyes, big guy. So that's a call out.
So it looks like there could be a box.
Steven Jackson is
and he calls Matt
smoke.
Barnes Becky with the good hair. He calls Matt Barnes.
So I'm looking at Kwame Brown's career, and it looks like his best season in terms of points was in 2003 with the Wizards when he averaged about 11 points per game.
I'll give my little spill on it. I would say, yeah, he's did good things like outside of basketball, like buying the stuff for his mom, investing. But when it comes to like the basketball aspect, he was a bust. But I feel what James kind of said, like he was stunted a little bit. He had Michael Jordan for his first half of his career. Then he played with Kobe. Like those are two people that aren't going to take a lot of stuff from you as a teammate. They want you to like perform at a high level every night because they're going to.
When I was doing some more research about Kwame Brown, I found out that the Wizards were going to draft him and plans to trade him to get Elton Brand. That didn't end up happening. It was the Bulls trading him for Tyson Chandler instead. But that was the original plan, was to get Elton Brand, not Kwame Brown.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
People know that.
So, close your computer. The last time Kwame Brown played a game was in 2012, 2013. You know how old he was in that season?
30?
28.
30. Sure, you got it.
Right.
30. He was 30 years old. And it felt like he played forever and he was just kind of bad forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact he was only 30 in his last year that he played is kind of amazing.
And that makes me understand this entire story a little bit, honestly, because I was wondering how long's it been, and if it's been 8-9 years and you're still hearing about how you were a bust, I get why you're frustrated.
Yeah.
He's got his YouTube channel he named Kwame Brown's Bust Life. Just even like taking the name and.
Well, then it feels like he's kind of playing into it,
Yeah,
you know.
He is.
So it sounds like he's being a little bit hypocritical.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I think there's a balance here. Is that it's one thing when
He knows he's not the best basketball player.
he wasn't good. I think he understands he's a bust. What he doesn't want, and I understand why, is everyone piling on him, because it's like, yeah, I get it. I wasn't as good as that everyone thought I was going to be. I was technically a bust. Just you don't need to pile on top of him after and be like, oh, Kwame Brown sucks. He's awful.
Can we invite Kwame in the podcast?
No.
I can get it that you wouldn't want to be known your entire life as just that guy who was a bust.
Because I feel like every time a high level prospect enters the NBA, is he going to end up like Kwame or is he going to end up like LeBron? Like those are like the two comparisons.
Yeah,
true.
Those are the two extremes.
It's Anthony Bennett now.
Because like people like Greg Oden, I don't say he was a bust. He just had really bad injuries.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Greg Oden.
Andrew Wiggins?
He's all right.
Jabari Parker would also be my
What is your obsession with Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, you seem to have a weird obsession.
I
don't think Wiggins is a bust.
The
He's
reason
still
why
here.
is I was hyped when we got him. I always thought he was going to be good, but he disappointed. But I still think he could be good.
I knew he was trade bait the moment they drafted him.
Yeah, I knew we were going to
45
draft him just to trade him.
Yeah.
Because there's been many people that's like Kwame that's bust, like Darko.
Yeah,
But
Darko.
He's not
for sure.
talking
Mayo,
about like
OJ
being
Mayo.
a bust anymore.
Yeah, Hashim Thabit, OJ Mayo.
The B.
I don't know any of these
Johnny
names.
Flynn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Johnny
was drafted
Flynn. Oh, what a
before
horrible
Steph
draft!
Curry.
What a horrible draft that Timberwolves one was. They got
And
Johnny
Ricky
Flynn and
Rubio.
Ricky Rubio. And
Ricky Rubio wasn't a bad pick though. That actually did have.
But Ricky Rubio didn't play for 2 years.
Yeah, he did.
They drafted him. He was still over in Spain.
That's right.
I did want to, when we were talking about, yeah, he was drafted from
I
Spain.
think
but,
Kwame just needs to get out of his feelings.
yeah. Kwame though, I don't know if you guys remember the Stephen A. Smith videos where he like talked about
He's a
him being
bona fide
scrub, all this stuff, and then there was like one thing where Jalen Rose about 10 years ago went off and said how can he be a scrub if he played 12 seasons in the NBA, and then Skip Blake said, well, it's unfortunately he did, which then Kwame now is going off on him.
Do you think that if
Not Jalen.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Kwame had ended up in San Antonio with Popovich and Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili, he could have done something?
I'll say one thing for Kwame. I can see why it would be frustrating when somebody who's a pundit is saying stuff like that. And look, maybe he wasn't somebody who lived up to his expectations in his career, but he was still an athlete. You know, he still made it to the league. He still survived in the league, like Church said, for 12 years. So I do get maybe some of that frustration. Like, look, I'm still better than you. You know, come play a game with me if I'm so horrible.
You're right.
And the way people got to realize that when we're talking about the worst players in the NBA, they're still like elite athletes. If you want to go play a game of one-on-one, like any of us here with Kwame Brown, he would smoke us.
Hell, even college players would.
Even the worst college players would still smoke the average person. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
But then Brian Scalabrine went on to play one-on-one against.
Exactly, that's what I was going with this.
But if you think
the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine.
If you think about that whole thing, it's like even the worst NBA team would be able to defeat the best college basketball team.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the majors are something else.
It's Kentucky, maybe not.
No, Kentucky would lose.
What was I going to say though? You got me lost.
It doesn't matter if it's on the NFL football field or the NBA basketball court. The best team in college basketball would still lose to the worst team in the NBA or the NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
There's such a discrepancy.
Oh, but on the Kwame Brown thing, we can move on after this, but I was curious. Chirp, you said he had a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, it's called Kwame Brown's Bus Life. I don't know if it's taken down yet, but...
So the other side of this is... We're talking about Kwame Brown, you know, and we're talking about his YouTube. So it's free publicity.
Yeah,
I mean, he's getting publicity that
accomplished.
Yeah, so
nobody else would be talking about him otherwise.
He's close to 300,000 subscribers, really quick.
If that's why he did this, he accomplished his goal.
When did he create this YouTube channel?
I think he created it about like a few years ago, it looks like, but now it's taken off since the Becky with the good hair thing.
So, none of you answered my question. If he would have ended up in San Antonio with Popovich and Tim Duncan, would he have done something with his career?
I don't know Becky with the good hair.
I think he needed a leader.
What was the order of that draft? I need to know the order of the draft first.
That was, I believe it was, I don't know why I remember this on the top of my head, but I do. Kwame Brown, Tyson Chandler, Paul Gasol, Eddie Curry. I forget who was fifth after that, but...
So the Spurs didn't have, like, the top pick?
No.
If, like, the Spurs had a top pick in that draft and they chose him, maybe, but I'm not going to say yes.
They drafted Tony Parker later in that draft.
Oh, they didn't even have Tony Parker in that draft.
No, they did. He was in that draft. He was a later pick.
Oh, okay.
No one thought he was going to be...
I feel like if he went to a team that was rebuilding with a bunch of young players, he probably would have been okay, but right off the bat with Jordan, then Kobe.
Or a contender with a good veteran presence that wasn't like that level. If he was like with maybe, I don't know, let's say if Sean Kemp was still good back then. I don't know.
The only chance he would have had is somehow he got traded to 7th to New Jersey.
Oh yeah, he would have been good.
All these other teams were dumpster fires. The Clippers, the Hawks, the Bulls, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, they were awful.
And if you look at those teams now, some of them anyway.
Grizzlies. Well, never mind. That's Grizzlies. I was thinking Timberwolves. I was about to say KG was there. He probably could have helped him some.
Interesting question. Do you think the So What's the Catch podcast is going to get his mama's cooking?
Wait,
could.
That's his phrase. He says.
It could.
That's his phrase.
That helps us.
That helps. Hey, it's publicity for us, Church. So I guess that's a good thing. So I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
Wait. So what are we doing now?
It has nothing to do with food.
I'm out.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, are we calling out Kwame Brown?
No, we're not calling out
Kwame Brown, you're a punk.
Because of the fact just because of the fact we talked about him, he could go off on us. It seems like
Chirk says Kwame Brown's a punk. That's what I heard.
Yes, Church is saying Kwame Brown is a punk.
All right, next subject
is the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, moving forward.
So we got there are a lot of series going on, but the two series I want to specifically focus on are the Dallas Mavericks against the Los Angeles Clippers and the LA Lakers against the Phoenix Suns. So Dallas is up 2-0 in
Woo! That made you happy, huh?
I'm a Luka Doncic fan, so if Dallas is doing good, I know he's doing good.
All right, so since you're a Luka Doncic fan, you want to talk about this Mavericks Clippers series?
Yeah, let's do it. I saw the game last night. I saw a little bit. Then I saw the highlights this morning on Inside the NBA. It was a good game. Kawhi did his thing, but not enough.
Was playoff P playoff P?
He's playoff poo-poo is what he is.
He's playoff poo-poo. I couldn't say it better myself, Jake.
My God, your two nicknames are Encyclopedia and Chime In, because you just love to chime in right behind him. But my girlfriend's a big fan of the Mavs, and she was like a Dirk Nowitzki guy. That's the only reason she liked him, because let's be real, Jane, you had a crush on Dirk Nowitzki. Okay, but anyways, Luka Doncic, right? So that gave them the chance to come back. The Mavs would have been trash without him. I'm glad to see, for my sake, it'll put her in a good mood that they're good again. And that's all I take from that.
So here's the thing. The Mavericks wouldn't have ended up with Luka if they hadn't made a draft day trade with the Hawks.
I thought...
Because the Hawks took Luka and the Mavericks took Trae Young, and they swapped.
And the Suns and the Kings both missed out too.
Yes, you're right.
With Bagley.
So here's what's interesting to me about this whole thing. Kawhi had relatively had success in both Toronto and San Antonio. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So why hasn't that translated over to the Clippers?
I have two words for you. It's Ty Lue.
Yes.
You think?
But even though Doc Rivers was his coach before.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's just Kawhi. Like Kawhi, he's been doing his part. It's the team. Like first last year, they were okay, but playoffs hit, it went down. And also, they don't really have the best bench.
No, they don't.
It's right. Really, like in the regular season, it was literally just Kawhi and PG if he showed up.
Which usually he does not.
And neither of these games, I'm just seeing this now, neither of them are really blowouts.
No.
Earlier in the year, though, the Mavericks, wasn't it the Clippers? They had about 45 at halftime.
Probably, or maybe it was the Cavs.
I do remember that.
It was not the Cavs. I know that for a fact.
Well, what it comes down to really is that the Clippers may have good players, may have a collection of good talent.
Yeah,
they're not a good team.
They're still the Clippers.
So you think they're
the Clippers?
They're still the Clippers.
They're for sure.
Clippers gonna Clippers.
So
same thing. Charles
Brand, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, you name them.
So you think that Kawhi making that New Balance commercial with the crown swinging, like taking a direct shot at LeBron, was a waste of time?
Yes. It's first of all, it's a commercial, so no. So let me backtrack. No, he got money. So no, not a waste of time. The content, you want to call that dumb commercial making, blame the director.
Okay. You want to know what Los Angeles is probably kicking themselves for right now? I'm just reading an article here where they're talking about how back in the fall they had pondered making a move for Kyle Lowry. That's a rough name. But they didn't because of salary cap issues.
I mean, they ended up trading for Rondo, but
it's not. But the Clippers want to be good. They still need certain pieces to be good. Like
yeah.
I don't think they have a solid guard. Pat Bev is not.
Should they bring back Chris Kaman?
Okay, I'm done with him.
Can somebody go and turn off his microphone?
Like the Clippers, for them to be good, they need a good, solid point guard that can distribute the ball, play make. Because that's not Pat Bev. No. Rondo, he could do that, but if he's coming off the bench, it's not really helping him that much.
He is playoff Rondo though.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the Lakers, he was in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And going to the Lakers-Suns series, the Suns were able to take game one, but I think that's more because they hadn't been in the playoffs in 11 years, something like that.
Steve Nash was there.
I mean, here's the real answer. LeBron always takes game one off.
That's true.
It's like a fill-out game.
It's a fill-out game. He lets the other team just expel all of their energy in game one. And he goes, guess what? I'm going to go rattle off 4 wins in a row now, and you're bounced.
That's something
Also,
I've definitely seen in Cleveland.
But I feel if Chris Paul was like not dealing with this little shoulder injury, it would have been a closer game.
Yeah.
You know
the
who
Suns might have won that.
You know who could step up, AJ? That's on the Suns?
No, we're not doing this.
No, don't say it.
Not
Don't.
doing this.
Say it.
Miles. Wait. Mikal
Yeah, see, you don't know.
Mikal Bridges, not Miles Bridges.
Myles Garrett?
Not the Charlotte Hornets, Miles Bridges.
It's Mikal Bridges from Villanova.
Yes.
I feel like Myles Garrett could help somehow.
I mean, he could ball. I've seen some footage.
You know what? You got what else you got?
So, what other than Clippers, Mavericks, and Lakers, Suns? What's the most intriguing series to you?
I'm not really intrigued by any of them.
Knicks versus Hawks. Knicks versus Hawks.
Game
Both
two.
teams
Yes.
That was a good game.
That is a great answer.
Trae Young went. I hate to say it, but he went berserk.
He did.
Yeah, he went off. I feel like in the first half, like you heard the arena after Trae Young. After that, they were quiet. But Derrick Rose responded and said, "You want to talk? We can talk, but there's no consequences to that."
And one underrated player on that Knicks team was Alec Burks.
Yeah.
Who underrated for plenty of years since the Jazz years. I remember.
Julius Randle actually won Most Improved Player for the Knicks.
Who are the Sixers playing?
They are playing the Wizards. Russell Westbrook.
The Grizzlies are playing the
Jazz.
That might be an okay series. I'm not too sure about that one.
I have a guaranteed sweep for you.
And then the Nuggets versus Blazers.
Let me see if I can read your mind.
Nets versus
That's over Celtics.
Yeah!
It seems like that one was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Congratulations!
I had that as a sweep too.
Hey, just calling Nostradamus.
I had that as a sweep because I feel like their best defender's out, Jaylen Brown. So
Yep.
he's out. It's just free reign for them.
Yep.
Well, that about catches us up on playoffs, right?
Wait, you have one more series.
Well,
The Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, with that one, that was a blowout. One game.
That's so weird.
Second game, right?
That's so weird.
Second game 2, yes. Which is, why do you think it's weird, Chirk?
I think it's weird because of the fact the Heat were beat the number 1 seeded Bucks last season. And then
Yeah, I was gonna actually touch on
where
that.
did they go?
I feel.
Tyler Hero's falling off a cliff.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you want to know the real answer?
yes.
The bubble heat was a lie.
Yes, it was. So if the Nuggets are down 3-1, are they coming back?
No.
Who?
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets.
They
Why are we
don't
talking
have
about the Nuggets now?
Why
Talking
are
about the
we,
Heat. What are you talking about?
why are you switching teams on us?
Right.
Don't do that.
Not bad.
You messed me up. What were we saying?
Go back to Miami.
I can kind of see it like this change in arena. So Miami's back at home.
Yep.
They might surprise you and win these next two.
If they wear their actual Heat jerseys and not that yellow disaster that they're wearing.
Terrible.
Yeah, what are those jerseys for the Heat?
A mistake. That's what those are.
What is it with
they're
teams
actually
and-
statement jerseys?
Do you like the
I gotta say that they suck.
Do you like those pink and blue jerseys that Miami wears?
I love the Miami Vice ones. The white
Yeah,
jerseys.
those are the ones I'm referring
City
to.
ones? Yeah.
Well, there's a culture to those, so yeah.
You
There's
know
a
what-
point to why they're
yeah,
wearing them.
You know what jerseys I'm referring
Yeah.
to, right?
No.
And some of these uniform changes, though, they just seem like pointless.
I have a quick question though about uniforms before we leave. Should the Bucks go back to those Ray Allen purple jerseys?
No.
No.
They have the perfect uniform set right now.
It's just plain and blend, just like Milwaukee.
It's clean and simple.
And that's where my thought's at. Like, if you already have the perfect color, why are you messing with
So I have a quick question.
it? Last one.
Do you think
Then we gotta head to break.
Do you think home teams should start wearing their away jerseys?
No.
Because
They already
That was easy.
because the Lakers already kind of do that by wearing yellow jerseys at home. They go against tradition by not wearing white. So basically, what I'm asking is, should home teams stop wearing white jerseys?
I don't care in basketball just because of how many different jersey colors and combos and different versions that they use.
I wish they sold the other jerseys online, yeah, but I don't really care.
Okay.
It's not really my complaint's more about just the jersey design, not what jersey that they wear.
Yeah.
I mean, just as long as I never have to see those ransom note Zodiac Killer Cavs uniforms again, I'm all good.
That's one of those obscure topics that I love to look at is the jerseys. And
I'm less worried about the fashion and more worried about the play.
Yeah.
Honestly.
yeah, that's valid.
But let's hit a commercial break, and we actually time got kind of weird on our show. I think we have 2 segments worth of stuff left, right?
Yeah.
But what we'll do, I think, is let's take this short commercial break, a little 3-minute break. We'll come back and wrap it.
We'll make it a super segment.
All right, so make sure you hang around for this last one. We got a lot to wrap up, and we'll be right back.
I knew something had to give. I was autumn from Triple Threat, and you're listening to allsportscleveland.com, the home of the NEL Christmas Classic.
Welcome back. It's, so what's the catch? We're wrapping things up here. We decided to go with a super segment because our schedule got a little bit jacked up a little bit. Oh, were you going San Diego Superchargers right there? Disco song?
Yeah, and I blame Josh. I don't know why, but I blame Josh.
I was gonna blame.
I'll accept the blame on that one.
I mean, blame Church just.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame
I'm not going to be
Church.
the scapegoat here.
I felt like mixing things around a little bit. I've already blamed Church, so I'm going to blame Church.
Well, I haven't blamed him yet, so it's my turn.
All right.
Kramer, just this once, I will accept your blame.
All right.
Okay, so we have we kind of jumped around a little bit, but we got a couple of LeBron topics here.
Yeah, so LeBron was violated the health and safety protocols for the NBA. However, he was not suspended because the NBA has set a double standard where, you're LeBron, so you're not getting suspended. Because if we suspend LeBron, who's gonna watch our playoffs?
I was still gonna watch.
Funny thing is, I know we talked about him earlier, but Kwame actually called LeBron out on that.
And it was it's frustrating.
Funny enough.
It's frustrating, but not surprising.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
So,
Versus other players that if they get COVID,
like Kristaps Porzingis, he's not getting suspended, but he went to a strip club, and so that violated.
I feel he should just get a slap on the wrist and let him go.
He got fined $50,000.
There's already a lot of people who say that they quit watching basketball because of LeBron James, and
The whole super team thing, or
multiple reasons, but those are one of them. And with stuff like this, it's like he's just adding to that image. Because I don't want to watch a league that is catering to anybody, especially now LeBron James.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I pulled up the NBA statement about the reason why LeBron's not being suspended, and it says the following. To clarify any remaining misconception, LeBron James briefly attended an outdoor event last week where participants were required to be vaccinated or return a negative test result prior to going. Under these circumstances and in consultation with medical experts, it was determined that his attendance did not create risks related to the spread of COVID-19, and therefore no quarantine was necessary. Over the course of the season, there have been numerous similar violations of the league's health and safety protocols, which were addressed with the players' team in a similar fashion. Under current NBA rules, vaccinated players are permitted to engage in outside activities, including their individual commercial arrangements, such as sponsor appearances or ad shoots.
So I get what they're saying. It's a good statement, but I would just push back that no matter what happened or what it was, LeBron James wasn't going to be fined or put out of the postseason.
No, which I'm fine with him not being put out of the postseason. But again, I get it. He's a superstar. He's one of the faces of the league. I get all this. It's totally valid. But you can't set a double standard.
Well, the NBA is saying they didn't. The NBA is saying in that statement that he didn't break the rules.
Yeah, because they were required to either be vaccinated or return the negative test result. And at the end of it, it sort of implies that LeBron may have gotten the vaccine.
Although
a little bit.
Well,
I didn't see his card.
If you listen to one of his newest statements, I'd have to pull it up, but he never indicated that he did get the vaccine.
It's a little bit of reading between the lines here. It's about how the end of that statement is worded.
You know what statement I'm referring to, correct?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
see the card, man.
They were talking about it on First Take, and he never said, directly said, I got the vaccine, or no, I'm not going to get the vaccine. So,
which is kind of strange in itself, because when they've already had such a push to have, I just saw the commercial over the weekend with Kevin Stefanski talking about getting his vaccine.
You're leading me right to where I want to go.
They're trying to get everybody in sports to do this, so wouldn't you think the very first person they'd be going to is LeBron James?
Thank you. You hit the nail right on the head there, Kramer.
I usually do. I'm a pretty good hammer.
So, on your quick little pop quiz, you get 100%. Good job.
Well, I think that's enough breath wasted on LeBron James anyways. You know what, at this point, anything LeBron James, it's frustrating to me.
Okay, so if that's the case, you want to go to the next segment of Pet Peeve of the Week?
I can do that real quick.
And it's your turn.
Yeah, so we started this last week, all talking about our different pet peeves in sports, and this is actually an idea Josh has been trying to get us to do for months. So we heard about it every day. So I've been thinking about it, and
I feel accomplished that it actually.
You definitely stayed in my mind because I did think about it.
Oh, you think about Josh
every night, and. What I came to, okay, so it takes me back. Think of the World Series game, Indians, that last game. What sunk us? If you had to say one thing that sunk us that day, what was it?
Kluber pitching for the third time.
Rain. My boy here nailed it. The rain. If it hadn't rained that night, it would have been a different ending.
You're right. I'm willing to admit that.
I hate rain delays.
Do you remember LeBron being there at the game?
I do.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess.
remember that.
I don't remember
J.R.
that
Smith was
specific
there.
game, but
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I remember him being at one of the ALCS games against the Blue Jays. I don't remember him being at the World Series.
Are you kidding? It was at Game 7. Rajay hit the home run. He was going like this wearing the Cleveland Over shirt.
You're right. I remember that.
Yep. I stand corrected.
That was the only time I ever just sat down and watched baseball, though.
But that was an extreme example of what I'm about to say, which is that to me, the rain delay, the way it's set up it doesn't work. It screws up the game. I'm not exactly sure what the answer is.
Okay.
I just don't like what they do.
Is it Allen Iverson?
What?
No.
Is Allen Iverson the answer? What question do you think I asked?
That was his nickname. That was a bad joke.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so on the subject of rain delays in World Series, back in 2008, Game 5, Phillies are up 3-1. They actually had to suspend Game 5 because of the rain and play the remainder of it the next day.
That still hurts me, Kramer.
Yeah, me too. And I would rather that's what would have happened. That they finish the game or the next day.
So you're for actually what should have happened? No delay.
Or no delay.
No delay. There was no reason for a delay. That was the biggest sham of all rain delays I've ever seen.
Was this the Cleveland curse?
You call it what you want to, but it was a hoax. I mean, it was a joke.
It's the curse of the guy behind Kramer on the wall right there.
Who is behind me?
By Eric.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
by Eric. I'm talking about Mr. Chief Wahoo there.
I thought you were talking about.
I saw it.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about
No, the curse of Chirk Berserk.
Yes.
that probably works too.
I think that is a real thing.
There's good luck with Chirk Visser.
Is there?
Yes, there is.
I question that.
Well, you're entitled to your own opinion.
But I maintain a couple of things about that particular World Series. Danny Salazar being available, different outcome. Carlos Carrasco being available, different outcome.
Travis Bauer hadn't cut his finger.
Trevor. Are you just calling him a different name now?
Who's Travis Bauer?
I'm renaming everybody.
Okay.
Bruce Belichick.
Bruce Belichick.
If I don't like you, I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know your first name from now on.
Don't do that with Kwame.
Who? Corey? Corey Brown?
Okay. So, I totally get what you're saying about the World Series and rain delays and all that. I'm not going to say who I was rooting for in that.
We all know it was the Cubs.
Yes, it was the Cubs. Yes.
So everybody drop those. Well, everybody I want in the comments for this, I want to know what you think about Josh rooting for the Cubs in that World Series.
Okay, let me say that.
I thought he was a fan of all Cleveland, though.
Apparently not.
He's a fraud.
The Indians are my favorite American League team, though.
So much like that rain delay, you're a fraud.
No, that is not true, because when the Indians are not playing the Cubs, I root for the Indians. The only time I do not root for the Indians is when they're playing the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's valid.
I don't, because you...
I've been a Cubs fan since my childhood.
But where do you live and where were you born?
Yes, I know. You know me. I'm a diehard Cleveland Cavaliers fan till the end of time.
So I'm just not sure why that runs up. Like, for me, even if I was a Dodgers or, whoever fan,
okay.
I wouldn't put them over my home team.
And you're entitled to that, and I totally understand. It's just something about me and the Cubs had been, like, in sync or with each other, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, NSYNC, that was a cool band.
I've had this exact conversation with some of my friends before about where you live or where you're from and what teams you root for, and that's mostly because I grew up in Michigan.
I have a friend, he's from New York, he's a Steelers fan. And you know why? He played a video game, and the Steelers were the only team he can win with.
It's always the most ridiculous.
I used to be a Rams fan growing up, loving Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk when I was.
Part of the reason why I became a Cubs fan is like my dad's friend David Quaco. He gave me a customized Cubs jersey with my last name on the back, and I always was a big, like, Carlos Zambrano fan, Derek Lee. I enjoyed watching Aramis Ramirez when the Cubs were on TV, so there were a lot of reasons. I'm not a bandwagon Cubs fan where it's like, oh, the Cubs won in 2016, I'm a Cubs fan now.
And so here's what I'll say. I'll say one thing on this. In 2015, I was rooting for the Cubs to win the World Series that year, and here's why.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future Part 2. I wanted that movie to predict the future, because that in Back to the Future Part 2, Martin McFly goes to 2015, the Cubs win the World Series. So I wanted that to happen. But it didn't. The Royals won.
Maybe it's on like an alternate timeline that happened.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. Multiverse. You know, like the multiverse.
Yeah, so alternate timeline. So alternate timeline, the Cavs don't win that finals.
No, but the Indians win.
The Indians won the World Series.
In the alternate timeline, do they win the first game? The first one, 2015.
In an alternate timeline, you weren't born. So I'm not accepting this question.
Okay.
In an alternate timeline, George Steinbrenner purchased the Indians instead of the Yankees.
Man, that would have been
In an alternate timeline, Art Modell does not sell Cleveland. We get Ray Lewis. We got Jonathan Ogden. We are winning that Super Bowl in 2001.
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
Another alternate timeline.
And 2012.
Alternate timeline.
I don't know about 2000.
Everybody came to Cleveland, and we won then, and LeBron didn't go to Miami.
Ooh.
There's a lot of things that could have played out different, but that's just Cleveland, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's just Cleveland.
You know, they always say there's always next year in Cleveland.
They do.
Yes, they do.
There's always next year.
Are we going to continue to say that about the Browns, though?
I don't feel like it.
Hope not.
Cleveland, the land of alternate timelines.
We got anything else over there?
No, we're all good.
Wait, Chirk, who's your Berserker of the Week?
We already got him.
We already had that.
Kwame Brown.
Oh, yeah, Kwame.
Yeah, Corey Brown.
At this point,
Kwame.
we're just listing out all our favorite teams because Josh is a Cubs fan when it comes to baseball, unless the Indians are not playing the Cubs.
Exactly, which I feel like that is acceptable.
Yeah, mine goes, well, I don't really watch baseball as much as you guys, so by default, I am going to be an Indians fan.
Right.
I am a Browns fan no matter who they're playing, though.
Browns fan no matter what.
Yes.
Cavs, they may suck, but hey, I still root.
I'm a Packers fan, but if the Packers play the Browns, I'm rooting for the Browns.
Okay, so you're Joe Thomas.
I'm a huge Cavs fan, but why do we name them the Cavaliers? Was there any history with Cavaliers in Cleveland?
I wonder that with a lot of teams. Like, are there any Timberwolves in Minnesota?
I'm going to say
I
yes.
believe so. It's like right
I like
by
Green Bay,
Canada.
Or what about, are there any Grizzlies in Memphis?
Yes.
Well, if you go to
Yes,
just
there
about
is.
any big football town, they'll have like Browns backer bars.
I love that.
So, I mean,
So,
yeah.
Okay, you're picking the animal ones for some reason. And there's legitimate chances that those
Is there a
animals will be
Raptor
there.
in Toronto?
That's a better one. Or how about how many Pirates are in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, true. Or how many I don't know.
There's a lot of Pirates stealing the.
I was gonna say one, but it
Steelers.
makes sense that they're the Phoenix Suns. There's a lot of sun in Phoenix.
Oh, there's a lot of sun in Phoenix. I had a great time.
Yeah, there's a lot of heat in Miami, so that one makes sense.
The Utah Jazz, that used to be the New Orleans Jazz.
Correct.
I would be pretty sure you're not going to hear too much jazz music in Utah.
Yeah.
Isn't Utah basically just like the movie Footloose?
It's Mormon. It's
Wait,
Mormon.
what about lakes? There's no lakes in Los Angeles.
We have to.
Well, alrighty. I think we should end it on this. I think we should end everything on this. But yeah, thanks for joining us if you did listen or if you watched this later. Check out our website, sowhatsthecatch.wordpress.com, or no, sowhatsthecatch.podcast. sowhatsthecatchpodcast.wordpress.com, and hit us up on Facebook. Anything else anybody wants to say?
Follow the Twitter account @SoWhat'sTheCatch.
I keep forgetting about that.
Maybe create an Instagram page next.
What was that?
Instagram page? Oh, that'd be fun. And,
Maybe my producer will do that.
Yeah, maybe our producer will do that.
Shark Berserk.
I gotta figure it out, but yeah, hopefully we could also get this call line working. I'll be entertained to hear some callers hop into our show.
That would be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I would enjoy that.
Hear some berserkers.
So let's make sure you join us next Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday, 2 to 4. Make sure you join us, and hopefully we'll figure out how to get some phone calls in here.
So, check out northcoastunderground.com, listen live, click on All Sports Cleveland, and we'll be back next Wednesday.
See you.
Bye.
We're out.